makes him so special, so important, so unique?
Well, there are many things, but I will mention one quality that surprised me when I first met him, and I didn't realize really what this incident, which I'm going to describe, illustrates. I met him in Los Angeles some years ago, and within a few minutes we were sitting together in his home having lunch, and I had a photograph from some students who asked me to pass it on to him. And he took one look at it, and he said, "Come with me." The next moment, I am in Leonard Cohen's bedroom, where he has handed me a Polaroid camera. And he says, "Take my picture." I take his picture. We then go into the Tower of Song, another room in the house, which is his music studio, and he signs the photograph, and he makes 25 copies, and he says to me, "Hand these out to the students when you get back." This was remarkable and totally unexpected, and what it exhibited, which is true of Leonard throughout his entire life, is generosity. He had an element of generosity which he shared with everyone, and it didn't matter, were you a professional singer, were you a backup musician, or were you someone who just loved his work and made a point of saying so?
Yeah, that's a beautiful story, because the generosity, I mean that's not the sort of generosity I would have expected from him, because he gave so generously in terms of allowing us to see into his heart. And in a way, that's all you can require of an artist. So there was profound generosity at that level too.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you just open almost any book of his poetry, you discover that entirely. And I just happened to, earlier this afternoon, look at the Book of Longing, and he has a poem called All My News. And these are just two short verses. "Do not decode these cries of mine. They are the road and not the sign. Nor deconstruct my drugless high. I'm sober, but I like to fly." With very simple language, Leonard can convey some very powerful and complex thoughts.
Yes, and he welcomed you to him, didn't he? All of his poetry, all of his writing, all of his music was about allowing you to be with him.
Well, yes, and I think along with the generosity was an honesty and an openness, and Leonard didn't hide things. He couldn't, actually. He couldn't hide things. He had to share them. And remarkably, for so many people really around the world, he did it through his poetry, but I think more importantly through his music.
Yes.
And I have been in many interesting places where someone is playing a Leonard Cohen song, whether it's in New Zealand or Australia or in Israel or in Sweden. Leonard Cohen is there. And it's because people, I think, they understand what he is doing, even if they can't explain it. It's something about spirit to spirit.
That's true. When did you first meet him? How long ago?
Oh, quite some time ago. I was with him when he turned 60, so this was in the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
And I remember riding in a car with him, and we were listening to actually a tape of an early cover album that was being released to honor his 60th birthday. And he said to me, now he understands what it means to be middle-aged. He was turning 60, and finally he kind of accepted it. But we had many fascinating experiences. One of the most, well, two I'll mention, both musical. One was midnight going to a record studio in Los Angeles because he was, as they say, laying down a track. But it was a backup track to one of his songs. There must have been 14 or 20 musicians midnight in the studio, so excited to see him, to listen to him, to learn from him. So he had this quality that, was as professional as it was personal. That was really important. And another incident was I spent, I think, 16 or 18 hours with him continuously because he was making a rock video. It was Dance Me to the End of Love. And we were in New York at the Sony Sound Stage, and I simply wanted to see, how do you make a rock video? Well, they need the singer for 5 minutes here and 7 minutes there, and then, you have 2 hours you don't do anything. So it was a wonderful opportunity to share experiences, with Leonard, and I had just returned from Greece to visit his home on the island of Hydra. So this made it really, a fascinating time.
They're great experiences to have. He was 82, and one begins to resign oneself to the absolute proximity of mortality at 82. But then, if you think about the fact that You Want It Darker only came out earlier this year, right? And he was still working. So were you surprised to hear the news today?
Yes, I was quite surprised. I knew a fair amount about the preparation and production of the album. There has been tremendous publicity for the album. He has given a few interviews, and in the interviews there was a kind of melancholic, bittersweet tone to them, but no indication that anything was imminent at all. And that's what makes this news, frankly, quite shocking. And I think people around the world are going to be shocked to suddenly hear this about him, because it wasn't as if people were prepared in any way. No. So I think that's what's especially disturbing about this. So it's very upsetting.
Yeah, very upsetting. And we're getting to the end of a bloody awful year. We've lost Cohen, Bowie, Prince. Trump's just been it's feeling like, I don't know, the centre cannot hold, to quote Yeats. Can you tell us, let's end on your favourite Cohen song by the masters of editing. We will bring it up underneath this subsequently. Can you tell us what you would pick for Radio New Zealand listeners to hear and why?
I would choose Dance Me to the End of Love. I think it's a song that every person can respond to but feel. And I do recall when we were doing the video, they had, as dancers, a marvelous ethnic mix of people to dance, in the studio, and also of every age. They had children, they had elderly people, they had certain people that could hardly walk, and they were moved by the music. And I think that's a very central moment in the whole kind of corpus of Leonard's work. And it's a memorable song. And even people that don't know anything about Leonard Cohen, they've heard that song, and it has meaning for them. So that would be the one.
Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift